The next algorithm is optimal page replacement algorithm. So this algorithm has the lowest page fault rate as compared to other algorithms, and it will not suffer from Bell-Days anomaly. So the technique is very simple. In this particular algorithm, we'll have to replace the page that will not be used for longest period of time. But the problem is that it is very difficult to read the future memory references. In fact, we cannot read the future memory references. But if you are able to read the future memory references, then so this is one of the best page replacement algorithm. The technique is replace a page that will not be used for longest period of time. So just we need to look at the future references, and we have to consider a page that is already exists in the memory for replacement, which will not be used for longest period of time. Now we shall take the same example, and now see how many page faults it is going to make as compared to first in first out page replacement algorithm. The technique is very simple. Let's recall. Replace a page that will not be used for longest period of time in the future memory page references. So let us take the same reference string here, and for this reference string I have written the numbers over here simply to identify the future reference, because we need to choose a page for the replacement that will not be used for longest period of time. To identify this, let us use these numbers. So these numbers I have taken only for the reference, but it is actually not needed. For easy understanding, these numbers I have taken here. So let us begin with the first page reference, that is 7. So initially no pages will be there in the frames here. Only there are 3 frames. Initially all frames are empty. No page has been loaded to any of the frame. So if the page 7 is not there in the memory, page fault occurs here, and we need to bring this particular page from disk to the memory. So 7 has been brought to the memory, that is the physical memory. We'll go to the next reference, that is 0. So 0 is also not there in the memory. So page fault occurs. 0 will be there in the disk. We need to bring page 0 from disk to the memory, that is to the physical memory. After 7, so 0 has been brought to the page frame in the physical memory. The next page reference is 1. So let us look at the memory, physical memory, and check whether 1 is present here. So what is not present? Page fault occurs, and 1 will be present in the disk. Let us bring that page to the physical memory. So it will be put into the free frame. So this 1 has been put onto the free frame here. So presently in the memory we have got 3 pages, and all 3 pages have been allocated to first 3. There are 3 page frames, and all 3 page frames have been allocated to first 3 logical pages, that is 701. The next page reference we make is 2. Check whether 2 is present in the memory or not. So 2 is not present here. Again the page fault occurs here, but there is no free frame available in the memory. So page 2 is present at the disk, and we are supposed to bring that page to the memory, but to load that page to the memory, there is no free frame left here. So we need to go for the page replacement. So there are 3 pages exist in the memory, 701. Which page we need to replace? So the technique is we need to replace a page that will not be used in future for longest period of time. So let us look at their future references. You take the page number 7. So from here onwards, so what is the reference for 7? So 7 is here, its reference is 18. Next you take the 0. For 0, what is the future reference? It is 5. And next we take 1. From here 1, what is the future reference for 1? It is 14. And which page is having the longest reference? It is 7, which is having 18. So we need to choose the page 7 for replacement. So page 7 will be replaced by 2 here. And now let us move on to the next page reference. The next page reference is 0. So let us check whether 0 is already present in the memory or not. So 0 is already present here. So no page fault occurs. because that particular page can be reused. It is already there in the memory. Now we shall move on to the next one. Next one is page 3. Check whether it is present in the memory or not. 3 is not present here. In the memory only there are 3 pages present, 2, 0, 1. So 3 is not present. Again we need to go for the replacement. To replace a page, we have to consider the page which will not be used for longest period of time. So let us look at the future references for 201. For 2, what is the future reference? It is 9. For 0, it is 7. For 1, it is 14. So here 1 will be having the longest, it will not be used for longest period of time. It is 14 here, so we need to replace page 1. Okay, so page 1 is replaced with 3. Now the next page we are accessing here is referencing is 0. 0 is already present in the memory, no page fault occurs here. Then we will go to the next page, that is 4. So 4 is not there in the memory. Again page fault occurs and we need to go for the replacement. So which page we replace here? So that we need to decide. There are 3 pages, 2, 0, 3. Again we need to look at the future references. For 2, the reference is 9. For 0, the reference is 11. And for 3, the reference is 10. So the page 0 is having, it will not be used for longest period of time as compared to 2 and 3. So 0 we need to replace with 4. So 0 is replaced with 4. The next page reference we make is 2. 2 is already there in the memory. No page fault occurs. Next we go for 3. 3 is also there in the memory. There is no page fault. Next the page reference we make is 0. But 0 is not there in the memory. Page fault occurs. 0 will be there in the disk. We need to bring into the memory. For that we need to go for the page replacement since no free frames are available here. So among 2, 4, 3, which one do we replace? Let us decide. Okay. Here from this point, for 2, the future reference is 13. Its number is 13. And for 4, okay, there is no reference made in the future for 4. So the 4 can be replaced here because there is no reference made in future for 4. So 4 will not be used at all in future. So we can easily replace 4 with 0. The next one is 3. 3 is already there in the memory. No fault occurs. 2 is also there in the memory. No fault occurs. Next we go for the 1. So 1 is not there in the memory. Page fault occurs. Again we need to go for the page replacement. Okay. So among 2, 0, 3, which one do we replace? Let us decide about this. Let us check the future references. For 2, it is 15, 0, 16 and 3. There is no reference, future reference for 3. So in future 3 will not be used. So directly we can choose 3 for the replacement. So 3 is replaced with 1 now. Next we will go for 2. 2 is already there in the memory. No replacement is required. We go for 0. 0 is already there in the memory. No page fault occurs. No replacement is needed. We will go for 1. 1 is also there in the memory. No replacement needed. Since no page fault occurs here, we go for the next reference, that is 7. So 7 is not there in the memory. Page fault occurs. We need to bring 7 from disk to the memory. No free frames left here. So we need to go for the replacement. So among 2, 0, 1, which one will choose for the replacement? Okay, let us see. Okay. So here 2 will not be used in future, but 0 and 1 are used in future. Okay. So the addition is very simple here. 2 can be replaced with 7. Okay. The next reference page is 0. 0 is already there in the memory. No page fault occurs. Next one is 1. Okay. 1 is not there in the memory. It is already there in the memory. No page fault occurs here. And this is the end of the reference string. Now let us count how many page faults has occurred here. So this is 1 for 7. This is for 0, 2, 1, 3. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Total page faults have been occurred here. So as compared to before, there is a improvement in the page faults. The number of page faults have been reduced in the optimal page replacement. For the same reference string, if you apply FIFO algorithm, the number of page faults were 15, but in the optimal page replacement we got page faults as 9. So the number of page faults have been reduced here in case of optimal page replacement. So this is one of the best page replacement algorithm, but it is very difficult to predict the future or read the future, because we'll have to decide the replacement based on the future reference string. So that might be difficult. This implementation might be difficult. Now let us move to the next algorithm, that is LRU. LRU stands for least recently used algorithm. So in the optimal page replacement we consider the future references, but in LRU we look at or we use past knowledge rather than the future. Instead of considering future references, we shall look at the past or history. So the technique is very simple. Replace a page that not been used in most amount of time. That is, LRU chooses the page that has not been used for longest period of time. So the pages which we have already accessed, so that history we consider here, and for the replacement we choose a page that has not been used for longest period of time. So this is one of the widely used page replacement algorithm by almost all the operating systems like Windows, Unix, Linux. Now let us take one example and see. Let us see how to apply LRU, and let us count how many page faults it is going to generate. So again we have taken the reference string, and these numbers are taken only for indication purpose. It is not required, only for our understanding purpose or for better understanding of the algorithm. So these numbers are taken here, but actually it is not needed. So we will begin with the first page reference, that is 7. 7 is not there in the memory, so page fault occurs, and there are 3 frames available here, so it can be directly placed here. Okay, in the memory it is allocated to first frame. Now we'll go to second page, that is 0. So 0 is not there in the memory, page fault occurs, and there is a free frame available, that is frame number 2, where we are putting 0. Next we'll go to 1. 1 is not there in the memory, page fault occurs, so there is a free frame available where we can directly put 1. Now we'll go to the next page 2. Okay, so check whether 2 is present in the memory. 2 is not present in the memory, so page fault occurs. It means 2 is there in the disk. We are supposed to bring that particular page from disk to the memory, but there is no free frame left in the memory. Then we need to go for the replacement. So there are 3 pages exist in the memory, 7, 0, 1. So which page do you replace? So which page we need to choose for the replacement? Okay, the technique is very simple. We have to choose a page that has not been used for the longest period of time. Okay, so among 7, 0, 1, so we need to choose a page which is not used for longest period of time. Okay, so here among 7, 0, 1, okay, 7 is a page which is not used for longest period of time, so we choose 7 for replacement. So hence 7 is replaced by 2 here. The next page is 0. 0 is already there in the memory, so no replacement is needed. We will go for the 3. 3 is not there in the memory, we need to go for the replacement. So we need to decide, so which page we need to replace here. Among 2, 0, 1, so which page is not used for longest period of time, that we need to consider. Okay, so 0 is here, 2 is here, 1 is here, so 1 is not used for longest period of time. So we need to replace 1 with the new page 3. Next with 0, 0 is already there in the memory, no replacement is needed. We will go to 4. So 4 is not there in the memory, we need to go for the replacement. So among 2, 0, 3, which one do we replace? So 0 is recently used. Next we got 3. Next we got 2. So 2 is not used for longest period of time. So 2 we need to replace with 4 here. Next one, we encounter the page 2. Again we need to go for replacement because 2 is not there in the memory here. So which one do we replace? Let us consider the previous history. The recent usage of the page is 4. The next one is 0. The next one is 3. Okay, so we need to choose page 3 because it has been not used for longest period of time. So 3 will be replaced with 2. Now we'll go for the next one, 3. 3 is not there in the memory. Go for the replacement. So which one do you replace? Which is the page which is not used for longest period of time? It is 0 here. So 0 is replaced with 3. Okay. The next one is 0. Again 0 is not there in the memory. We need to go for the page replacement. Okay. Again we will look at the previous history. So 3 is the most recently used. Next 2 and 4. 4 is the page which is not used for longest period of time. That page we need to replace here. So 4 is replaced with 0. The next page in the reference string is 3. 3 is already there in the memory. No page fault occurs. No replacement is needed. 2 it is already there in the memory. 1 is not there in the memory. No free frames left here. Go for the replacement. Among 0, 3, 2, which one do you replace? Okay, the most recent usage of the pages. Okay, 2 is the page used most recently. Okay, so among 2, 3, 0, so 0 is the page which is not used for longest period of time. So 0 we choose for the replacement. So 0 is replaced with 1 here. Next we go for the 2. 2 is already there in the memory. We go for 0. 0 is not there in the memory. Go for the replacement. So we replace the 3 with 0 because it is not used for longest period of time. Next we'll go for the 1. The next page with reference is 1. 1 is already there in memory. So no replacement is required. We go for the 7. 7 is not there in the memory. We need to replace the existing page. Which page we do choose here? The page number 2 is replaced because that is the page which is not used for the longest period of time in the history of the references that we already made. So 2 is replaced with 7 here. Next we go for the 0. 0 is already there in the memory. So no replacement is done here. No page fault occurs for 0. Next one is 1. 1 already there in the memory. No page fault, no replacement done here. Now let us count how many page faults occurred through LRU. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It is 12 page faults. It is better than FIFO. In FIFO we got 15, but through LRU we got number of page fault as 12, but it is worse than optimal solution. In optimal page replacement algorithm, the number of page faults we got 9, but as compared to that we got more here, it is 12. But optimal page replacement algorithm is very difficult to implement, but LRU can be easily implemented. So it is better to use LRU as compared to FIFO and optimal page replacement OPT. Now let us see how LRU algorithm can be implemented. LRU algorithm can be implemented easily by two different ways. The first way to implement LRU algorithm is counter implementation. We can maintain a counter, and based on the counter value we can go for the page replacement. So that is, every page entry has a counter, and every time when a page is referenced through this entry, copy the CPU clock into the counter. The counter is set to the CPU clock value, and when a page needs to be replaced, so we need to look at the counter to find the smallest value. So we need to choose a page that is having the smallest counter value. That page we need to choose for the replacement. So this will be very easy to implement. Okay, for every page entry, okay, we set a counter to the CPU clock, and whenever we want to replace a page, we need to look at the counter that is having the smallest value and that the particular page will be replaced with new page. And the second way of implementing LRU is stack implementation, and it is being widely used in almost all operating systems. It is very easy to implement. So here we need to keep or maintain a stack of page numbers in doubly linked form. So actually stack is implemented as a doubly linked list. Okay, in the doubly linked list we have got two references, one in the forward direction and the other in the reverse direction, that is already learned in the data structure. So actually we are maintaining or keeping a stack of all the page numbers in the form of doubly linked list. And whenever a page is referenced in the reference string, what we do is we remove that particular page from the stack, and that is put onto the top of the stack. It is very simple technique here. What we do is whenever a page is referenced, we remove that page from the stack, that is put onto the top of the stack. It means the most recently used page will be there at the top and the least recently used page will be there at the bottom. So we need to choose the page for replacement, so that is used the least number of time. It means least recently used page will be there at the bottom, and the bottommost page we need to choose for the replacement. The replacement policy will be very simple, but it requires 6 pointers to be modified. So 6 pointers we need to alter for the implementation of this particular technique. And updating will be more expensive, but no searching is required for the replacement, because the searching is the replacement is very simple and straightforward. The bottommost page we need to replace it, no searching is required. Already there is a tail pointer that is pointing to the bottom of stack, and the bottommost page can be directly accessed, no searching is needed. Okay, the bottommost page we need to replace it, and it is very simple to implement. Okay, let us take a reference string here. So this is the content of stack before A. Okay, see A is actually after referencing 2. Okay, 2 has been moved to the top of the stack here. After referencing 7, 7 will be moved to the top of the stack. 7 is actually here, it will be removed from this location and it is moved to the top of the stack. So moving element 7 from this location to top will be expensive. Okay, because we'll have to move this element to the top of the stack. Okay, so what is the logic here? So we'll have to simply move down the remaining element. Okay, so 0 will be brought to here, and 1 is brought to here, and 2 is brought to here, and a vacant space is created at the top of the stack where actually we have to place the 7. Okay, the most recently used page will be always at the top. Okay, at the bottom we will find the least recently used page. So that is the page number 4 is used. That is the least recently used page. So whenever you want to go for the page replacement, we need to choose the bottommost page here. That is page number 4 will be chosen for the replacement. Okay, the next one we shall look at LRU approximation algorithms. So if you implement algorithm, it requires a special hardware to implement LRU, and it is a bit slow. So that is why we go for a different technique here, that is a reference bit. For each and every page we maintain a separate bit, so that is called as a reference bit. For all the pages it is initially set to 0, and whenever a page is referenced, okay, the reference bit is set to 0. It indicates that if the reference bit is set to 1, it indicates that the page has been referenced. If it is set to 0, it indicates that page is not yet referenced. The replacement will be very simple. Replace the page with a reference bit 0. We need to choose a page whose reference bit is 0 for the replacement, but we will not be knowing the order of the replacement. And there is an improved version of this that is called as a second chance algorithm. In this particular algorithm, okay, actually it is making use of first in first out page replacement algorithm here. That is the page which is reference first will be replaced first, and along with the FIFO we are making use of a hardware supported reference bit, and we make use of clock based replacement. So it is very simple technique here. It is given like this. If at all you want to replace a page, so first of all we need to check the reference bit of that particular page. If the reference bit is 0, then we can directly go for the replacement. If page is there in the memory and its reference bit is 0, directly you can go for the replacement. If the reference bit is 1, what we do is we set its reference bit to 0 and we leave it in the memory as it is, and one more chance is given to that particular page, and the next cycle we will go for the replacement. In the first cycle, what we do, if the reference bit is 0, it will be set to 0 and we leave that page in the memory, and it will be replaced only in the next cycle. One more chance will be given to that particular page, hence it is called as second chance algorithm. Now let us see how it can be implemented. It can be implemented using circular linked list as it is shown in the diagram. It is basically circular queue of the pages is maintained here. So these are the reference bits. Okay. So if the reference bit is 0, we already know that we can directly go for replacement. If the reference bit is 1, so this is called as the next victim. That means the next page to be replaced. Okay. Here in the first cycle, if the reference bit is 1, it will be set to 0. Okay. So this particular bit will be set to 0, but this page will remain in the memory still. Okay, only what we have done is we have made this reference bit as 0, but we have not yet replaced the page. So similarly, the next page, for the next page the reference bit is 1, we will make it as 0. Okay, and when we go to the second cycle, we will go for the replacement. Till that, those pages will be there in the memory. Okay, for a particular page whose reference bit is 1, okay, there is a second chance given. Okay, in the second chance, that page will be replaced. Until that page can be used. Hence the name is given as second chance page replacement algorithm. Now move on to the counting algorithms. So these are the algorithms based on the counter. So in these algorithms, what we do is we keep a counter of the number of references that we have made to each page. For each and every page, we will maintain a counter of the number of references we have made to that particular page. So it is not used commonly. So there is a algorithm here that is based on counter. So that is the least frequently used algorithm, that is called as LFU. LFU stands for least frequently used algorithm. So we'll have to replace a page with the smallest count. So every page is assigned with a count. There is a counter maintained for each and every page. So that counter is basically containing a value. So that is the number of references of that page has been made. And we choose the page for the replacement having the smallest count. Hence the name is given as least frequently used algorithm. Okay, that is the least frequently used page will be replaced in this particular algorithm. The next one, most frequently used algorithm, that is MFU. In this particular technique, the most frequently used page will be chosen for the replacement. So based on the argument that the page with the smallest count was probably just brought in and has yet to be used. Now we shall look at page buffering algorithms. So let us look at what is page buffering. So page buffer means we are maintaining a buffer, okay, to keep free frames. That is, we have to keep a pool or buffer of free frames. So whatever the free frames available in the physical memory, they are put into a buffer. So that is called as page buffer. Then a frame will be available when needed, and if it is not found, then there is a page fault occurs. If there is a free frame available in the buffer, it can be allocated to the page. If free frame is not available, then we need to go for the replacement. It means read a page into free frame, select victim and add to the free pool. So in this we need to maintain a list of modified pages. Okay, if a particular page has been modified, we need to bring that particular page to the disk from the memory. So that is how we go for the replacement. Next, we shall look at allocation of frames. What is allocation of frames? So these are basically frame allocation algorithms. How many frames we need to allocate to the process? So that will be decided by the frame allocation algorithm. So there will be different strategies we can adopt for allocation of the frames. So it is deciding how many frames we need to allocate for the different processes that are in the memory. Each process needs minimum number of frames. For example, if you look at IBM 370 system, so there are 6 pages needed to handle instruction called SS move. So there is an instruction called move. You know that move is an instruction used for data movement. Okay, so a data from one register will be transferred to another register. It will be moved to another register. Okay, so in to execute this particular instruction, actually 6 pages are needed. Okay, it can be divided like this. For the instruction is 6 byte, and 2 pages are required for the instruction and 2 pages to handle from. Okay, so we have to move a data from one register. Okay, to handle that 2 pages are required, and to handle 2 means okay, we take a data from one register and we move to other register. Okay, to move data to other register, 2 more pages are needed. So total 6 pages are needed to execute this particular instruction. Okay, that is how for each and every process there are some minimum number of frames needed to execute. To execute this particular instruction, actually 6 pages are needed. Okay, so minimum 6 pages we need to allocate for this particular instruction. And the maximum number of frames we can allocate to the process, it depends on how many free frames available in the system. If there are sufficient frames available in the memory, and we can allocate maximum number of frames, and if the only limited number of frames exist in the physical memory, and minimum required number of frames we need to allocate. For example, for this particular instruction, the minimum pages required are 6. Okay, if there are only limited pages left, only the minimum required pages we need to allocate, that is 6 pages we need to allocate. If 6 pages are not available, then execution of this instruction must be suspended until we get the 6 pages. Once we get 6 pages in the memory, 6 free frames available in the memory, then we can go for execution of this particular instruction. So there are 2 major allocation algorithms. One is fixed allocation and the other one is priority allocation. There are different variations of these 2 allocation algorithms. Now let us look at fixed allocation algorithms. The first one is equal allocation. So every process is allocated with the equal number of frames. For example, if there are 100 frames, after allocating frames to the operating system, some frames we need to reserve for the operating system. We cannot use them for user process. After allocating frames to operating system, how many frames are free frames are left here? 100. And there are 5 processes, user process in the system. Then each process gets how many frames? Okay, it's equal allocation. Every process should get equal number of frames. Out of 100, each process gets how many frames? So you simply divide 100 divided by number of processes. So that is 5. 100 by 5 will get 20. So each process will get 20 frames. So there will be equal sharing of the available frames will be done here. But we need to keep some free frames in the buffer full because it may be required for some cases. The next strategy will be proportional allocation. Instead of going for equal allocation, proportionally we go for the frame allocation here. The technique is very simple. Allocate the frames according to the size of the process. Size of the process is measured in terms of bytes. Okay. If the size of the process is big, then we allocate more number of frames since it requires more frames. If the size of the process is small, it means the number of bytes of a process is less, then we allocate the less number of frames since it requires the less frames. Okay, let us take one example here. Okay, so in this particular algorithm we can use SI. SI is basically size of process PI. So size of process PI is measured in terms of bytes. So that is say it as SI. And capital S is equal to summation of SI. It is basically summation of all the processes. It's a summation of all process size. So that is what capital S. And M is the total number of frames available in the physical memory or in the system. Okay. Then we go for the allocation of I. We allocate the frames to the process I as per the size of the process. Okay, so allocation for process PI will be done using this particular formula. SI, what is SI? The size of process PI divided by, yes, that is summation of size of all the processes that are existing in system into M. So this proportion we consider. So that is SI divided by S into M. For example, M equal to 64. The number of frames available in the system is equal to 64. And for the process P1, the size is 10. For process P2, the size is 127. And the total size will be 127 plus 10, it will be 137. Now, let us allocate the frames to process P1. So, we calculate A1 here, where I is equal to 1 for process P1. Okay. The formula is SI divided by S here. SI is S1, that is 10, divided by the summation of these two, that is capital S, will be 137. 10 divided by 137 into the total number of frames available, that is 64. Here process P1 is allocated approximately 5 frames because its size is less here, it is 10, and size of S will be 127. And so definitely the less number of frames will be allocated to process P1, that is approximately 5 frames are allocated to process P1. Next we will go for the second process P2. Let us calculate the number of frames required for process P2. Okay, it is 127 divided by 137 into 64, we got it as around 59. So 59 frames will be allocated to process P2 because it is having larger size as compared to process P1. So definitely process P2 has been allocated with more frames, that is 59, and process P1 has been allocated with 5, that is less number of frames allocated to process P1. So that is a proportional allocation according to the size of the process. Now the next one is priority allocation. So priority allocation, here the allocation is based on the priority of the process. Okay, actually here it will make use of proportional allocation along with priority of the process. It means use a proportional allocation scheme using priority rather than size. In the proportional allocation algorithm, you consider the size. So depending upon the size, we allocated the frames in this particular technique. But instead of considering size, we need to consider the priority of the process. The process here generates a page faults, and we need to select a page for replacement. And which page we need to select? We need to select a page for replacement from a process with lower priority number. So lowest priority process, a process with lower priorities frame will be selected for replacement. Now let us move on to the global replacement and local replacement. So global replacement is basically we go for the page replacement by considering all the processes. It means a process selects a replacement frame from set of all frames. It means one process can take a frame from another process. Global replacement means we consider the frames of all the processes that are exist in the system for replacement. It means one process can take frame of another process. So that is what global replacement. But the process execution time will be more here, but it gives us better throughput as compared to other replacement algorithm. So a process can use the frame of another process because it is a global replacement strategy. The execution time of the process will be more, but the throughput of the system increases here. Okay, it means in less time it is possible to execute more number of programs. But if you take a particular process, that may take more time to execute. The second approach is local replacement. Here each process selects a frame from its own set of allocated frames. So it is the replacement will be done within the process itself. That is called as local replacement. Now let us move on to the next topic, that is flashing. Okay, if a process does not have enough pages, then the page fault rate is very high, and whenever there is a page fault, then we need to go for the replacement of existing frame. But as much as possible we should try to replace the page quickly, but this may lead to less utilization of CPU, and the operating system thinking that it needs to increase the degree of multiprogramming. Whenever operating system think that it needs to increase the degree of multiprogramming, then another process must be added to the system. Then the page fault rate increases very high. That leads to low utilization of the CPU. Okay, now let us understand what is flashing. In this particular situation, whenever we try to increase the degree of multiprogramming, it means whenever you try to execute more number of programs in less time, it means the more number of programs we brought into the memory, that causes the more number of page faults, that leads to more number of page replacement. In turn, that leads to low utilization of CPU. In this particular scenario, there may be possibility of flashing. Flashing means a process is busy in swapping pages in and out rather than execution. Process is not in the execution, instead it is busy in swapping pages in and out. It means there are more number of page faults occurring. In this case, what process does is it will try to bring the pages from the disk to the memory. The pages have been missed in the memory, that is why the page fault has occurred. So the process is busy in bringing the pages from disk to the memory, and also few pages will be replaced and those pages will be sent back to the disk. So there will be continuous swapping of the pages is done by the process. So process is busy in the swapping of the pages in and out rather than execution. So that is called as flashing. If you look at this particular graph here, okay, so this graph is against the degree of multiprogramming versus CPU utilization. So degree of multiprogramming, as you increase degree of multiprogramming, it means if you bring more number of programs in the memory for the execution to improve the degree of multiprogramming. Okay, so until certain level, okay, the CPU utilization will be maximum. Okay, up to this particular point, for example, in this particular graph, the CPU utilization is maximum. Okay, and after that, it has declined, it is decreasing. You can see in the graph, it is decreasing. Why it is decreasing? Because if you bring a more number of processes in the memory to improve the degree of multiprogramming, the number of page faults will be increasing, and the processes are involved in page out and page in operation, then execution. Okay, so CPU is being not utilized properly here, and hence the CPU utilization will be decreasing. So that is what thrashing. So this particular portion is basically indicated as thrashing. Now let us look at the demand paging and thrashing. So here we consider basically a model called locality model. In the locality model, a process migrates from one locality to another locality in the memory, and the localities may overlap. Now let us understand why actually the thrashing occurs. That is, the summation of size of locality, if it is more than total memory size, then the thrashing is going to occur. Now let us take a working set model for thrashing. Here we have taken a delta. Delta is basically working set window. So that is a fixed number of page references. Okay. So what we do is we choose some fixed number of page references as delta, that is called as working set window. For example, we can consider 10,000 instruction as the number of page references that we already made. So that is called as working set window. It is set as delta. And after that we take it as a WSSI. It indicates working set of process PI. Working set for process PI is indicated as WSSI. So that is total number of pages referenced in most recent delta. Delta is what? It is a fixed number of page references we have chosen. It is called as working set window. So in this W, okay, the total number of pages referenced in the most recent delta is called as WSSI, that is working set of process PI. If this delta is too small, then will not include the entire locality. If the delta is too large, will include several of the number of localities. If delta is infinity, then will include the entire program. Here we shall calculate D is equal to summation of WSSI. Okay, WSSI is basically working set of process PI. Okay, so we will consider the summation of working set of all the processes in the system, that is indicated as summation of WSSI of all the processes, then we get it as D. So that is the total number of page references in the most recent delta for all the processes is indicated as D. Okay. If the D is greater than M, M is what? The total number of pages in the memory. Okay. If D is greater than M, then thrashing occurs. Okay. Whenever there is a thrashing, to minimize thrashing, we can adopt a policy, that is whenever D is equal to M, so we can suspend a process from execution, or else we can swap out one of the process. Okay, process can be temporarily removed from the memory to the disk. Okay, whenever thrashing occurs, to minimize the thrashing, what we can do? Let us suspend the execution of the process. It can be swapped out to the disk from memory. So that is how we can eliminate thrashing. So it is shown here. So delta is basically, so this much page references we have taken as delta. Okay, so this is one delta, this is another delta, and we have taken the working set window for at a certain time t1. Okay, here we'll have the references 1 2 5 6 7. So these things we can consider for replacement. So here at time t2 we have got only two references in the delta, that is 3 comma 4. Now let us move on to the next one, page fault frequency. So instead of considering WSS, we can go for another strategy, that is page fault frequency. Okay, so the replacement policy will be depending on the page fault frequency. If actual page fault rate is low, then process loses a frame. If actual page fault rate is too high, process gains a frame. So that is the page fault frequency. So it is shown in the diagram here. There is a upper bound and lower bound for the page fault rate. Okay, if the page fault rate is low and the process is going to lose the frame, it is not going to get the frame here, and the page fault rate is too high, then process gains the frame. So that is shown in the graph here. So this is the end of virtual memory management.